Local history, local culture, local events, your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
And welcome to the show, everybody. Thanks for joining us. The United County Executive, Anthony Picente Jr., is our guest. We're going to be talking about a lot of local issues, including how the county has come back from COVID. The county executive's writing is in a new book. We'll talk about that. And before we do any of that, though, we're going to say welcome. Good to see you again.
It's great to be back again after a long time away.
A long time.
Yes.
Well, I mean, things change so much over the past year and a half, 2 years. The Oneida County, you know, I was reading what you put in your segment in this book, which we'll talk about in a second. And if I read correctly, Oneida County, you had an order for masks in Oneida County a week before New York State did?
Really, yeah, and it would have been even earlier if they had approved it.
Yeah.
So.
What made you want to go to masks so early?
Well, there was so much we didn't know, but a lot that we did in terms of the infection rates that were occurring and the testing that was taking place. And we were one of the areas that was doing the most testing in those early days at the highest level. I mean, 2,000-3,000 tests a day, which were higher than some of the larger areas throughout the state. And the numbers were coming back, even though they were staggering at first, we still started seeing those rise. And then following what the CDC and what WHO and the various organizations were doing, and looking at trying to keep our businesses active and other places that, while so many things were shut down and not being able to move forward, you know, and the question of masks and people really adhering to them and the discomfort of people going into different places, we said, let's put this in. Let's mandate it so that people are comfortable going into stores and retail establishments and places that they need to get to. You know, it was already in place at hospitals and nursing homes and the like. But we really looked at it as the way to really get people to wear masks more frequently and to really get the comfort level and the protection for the workers in the grocery stores, in the retail establishments, in the in the restaurants that were able to be open. And again, it was a business decision. It was a public health decision.
Was there any pushback from your county people?
No, not at all. Everybody was on the same page as to what we need to do and what was coming down the pike, so to speak. The unknowns, but the level of infection rate, the hospitalizations that just started to grow, really made that I think an essential part of our being able to curb numbers in those early days.
And how do we stand as we sit here today? No new infections?
You know, our numbers have been in the single digits and literally we had a zero last week for the first time since September of 2020, which was the best news we've heard in a long time. The hospitalization numbers, again, are in the single digits, and when I mean single, I mean it was only 2 the other day. So, whereas there was a peak in which 100 and plus, and that's really was a big telling sign when the severity of the illness with some people in the hospitals, also rose the urgency of mask orders and other restrictions that we put in place.
The book that I talked about earlier is Our Darkest Hour. It's the New York County Leadership and COVID Pandemic. Is this put out by the Association of County Executives?
It's the County Executives Association, New York State.
And it's an interesting way they did it. Each county executive was asked to contribute?
Everyone, yes. There's 18 of us.
And everybody contributed?
Everybody contributed.
Yeah. How did the other county executives? I read yours. I didn't read the other county executives.
If you read them, we were all kind of in the same position, and the county executives have a great relationship. Despite it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. We come together as a group. We we share ideas in normal times, and certainly in difficult times. Usually, those difficult times are around storms and other areas when just some of us are affected. This affected everyone. So when you read through them and look at a lot of the stories were similar in terms of the unknowns, in terms of the knowns, but in terms of the act, in terms of acting quickly. And that's what I said. We had to act fast, and we had to take control of our own situations and show that we were in the position to lead, but also to communicate. I think communication became the biggest part of the pandemic for all of us.
Before I ask the question, where's the book available, Tony?
Books available on Amazon, books available in Barnes & Noble, other bookstores, and online.
You know what the price is?
The price, I think, is $18.95, something like that. And the proceeds, it's important for everybody to know, the proceeds are going to the 10 regional food banks throughout New York State and that serve all of our counties. So
good.
That's where all the proceeds for this goes. No one's making any money.
Okay, good luck with that then. That's a good cause. You talked about communication not just during COVID, but other times. You've been pretty candid about your not being happy with the governor because of the lack of communications, yes?
Yes, and I think, that's one of the things that was shared, in the early days of COVID. And, while, we were all dealing with unknowns, the county executives, obviously, and county leadership in general, there's 18 county executives, which you can include the mayor of the city of New York in there, because in essence, he really is a county executive because of the boroughs. And the other counties that have administrators and board chairs and leadership, which are responsible on the local level for public health emergencies. It's our role. It's what we do every day, no matter what the circumstance is. And our frustration, throughout, and really more in the early days, because after that we moved, and we just had to
do things on your own.
And but it was highly unlikely, because this was a governor who in the past, in different emergencies such as flooding and snowstorms and other nature's events, had communicated with us. And then this became a lot different. We never had the opportunity to really converse and really let him know and let his administration know what was happening on the ground. I think that's the important part of that book too, because it really puts the complete human element into this. This is not just about the counties looking at it from our point of view of how we're going to deal with this. It was how we were going to deal with it, because we were on the ground level, on the street level, as we are every day, dealing with people, dealing with our healthcare systems, dealing with our nursing homes, dealing with our schools, our businesses. We are the closest to the people in that regard. And the frustration wasn't about us wanting to direct the ship. He's the governor, and we look to the governor for that leadership. Ours was to look at how do we communicate and let him know, and so everybody knows this is what's happening on the ground during these times. The anxiety, the stress, the unknowns that, working together could have been an easier path. But I'm proud of what we've accomplished, and I'm proud of my colleagues of what they did too.
United County Executive Anthony Picente Jr. is our guest. We're talking about COVID. When we come back, we'll talk about the new development up at Griffis. That's pretty exciting. I was up there the other day. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. United County Executive Anthony Picente Jr. is our guest. He's been the county executive since 2006, 13th county executive, if I've added them up correctly.
Yeah, there's a couple in there. I mean,
Yeah, and I'm not going to ask you to name them because I can't name them, but I do know longest serving Oneida County executive.
Without question.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
The first county executive took over from a different form of government.
from
We had
the
a
Board of Supervisors.
board of supervisors. Tiny Williams.
1962.
Yeah.
No, Chuck Lanigan.
Chuck, no, but I meant for the Board of
Board of
Supervisors.
Supervisors was Tiny Williams.
Yeah,
the-
he was
the
a
chairman of the board.
powerhouse in his
was.
in his day, and then Chuck Lanigan took over and went on to didn't he do something with the Thruway Authority?
He was the chair of the Thruway Authority. He actually ran for state controller.
State controller, and then he got named to the yeah.
He was the head of the state Republican Party
Yeah,
at one point
yeah,
too.
yeah. He had a
Great career.
yeah. He had a great career.
Great career. Good man.
Yes. Yesterday or the other day, I was up to Griffis, the former Griffis Air Force Base, and went into the Air City Lofts. Mm-hmm. What a great development that is.
It is, and it's part of, we talked about this last week at the kickoff or the actual official ribbon cutting of the first two buildings.
Yeah.
There's two more that are going up as we speak, and one should be completed by the end of the year. Yeah, and when we talked about never envisioning the growth of Griffis, upon the closure of the base in 1995, and here we are, 25 years later, 26, and with the development that took place. But now the housing piece, we have the technology, we have financial institutions, we have industry, we have a school, we have education, an MBCC presence, and you have all of these pieces, that center around the lab, which was so crucial to saving that piece.
Yeah.
And who knew that would be the great catalyst for our technology corridor. And here we are now with the next piece, which we had always envisioned and kept looking for when it would come, and the housing piece. And the good news was, COVID didn't slow that down. Mm-hmm. That project stayed on track and opened up, and those two buildings are now full. The other two have waiting lists and people already signed up for. Air City Lofts is just a great, a great aspect of development on that park.
Is that all private money?
It is. There's some IDA inducements in different fashions, but certainly we always work with the developers, and the City of Rome has been instrumental in that as well. Those are what's considered market rate housing, and clearly has attracted young professionals and others to the site, which it's a great place to live and work and play, as we say. And even if you're not working there, the amenities up at Griffis, the ability to, the walking trails, the bike trails, the proximity to different restaurants and such.
Speaking of restaurants, they were telling me that young Chris DeCito is putting a restaurant in the bottom. Though it's nice the way they're designed.
The first one.
Yeah,
Yes,
the first one. And they're going to have retail space on the bottom of all those buildings.
They do. They have retail space. So Chris and his partner Frank opening up Crust.
Crust, yeah.
And then there's a bowl place, Thai bowl place that's opening as well. So two restaurants to start, other retail looking down the road at that. So really an exciting piece.
Well, I tell you what, I can remember right where I was in '95 when the commission BRAC came through on an inspection. All the people were out there waving signs to save Griffis, which of course didn't happen, but I never thought it would get to this point where the success at Griffis.
No, and I go back to those times because I was around working for the then county executive, Ray Meyer, and then I went on to work for the governor because we had to fight that battle twice. We fought it in '95 to save the lab as the other pieces of Griffis went away. And then we had to come back around in 2005. I was with the state at that time, working for the governor, Governor Pataki, and we had to fight the BRAC system again to save then not just Rome, the Air Force Research Lab, but DFAS as well, which had been put there through the efforts of Congressman Bullard. So, when we talked about this again last week, and every time we go there, and I'm there all the time. Another big piece is Innovari, which is a joint venture between Oneida County, the Air Force Research Lab, the Griffis Institute, and SUNY, which has now become an open innovation campus in Building 100, where our hangars are, and in the weeks and months ahead, really, the Sky Dome, which we are converting one of those hangars, which will be the largest indoor test site of UAS in unmanned aircraft systems or drones in the world, literally, at Griffis.
When will that?
That might be open, is probably around November.
Okay.
Probably around November.
The Griffis has really kind of taken a lead in these drones, haven't they?
We have. We're one of 7 test sites, but we like to say the best test site, our ops center. The radar detection system that we have in place is one of a kind. The corridor that we've been establishing between Oneida County and Onondaga County, working jointly with Onondaga and the universities there, our universities here, in developing this corridor and expanding the airspace. And that's something that we look to do even more so with the next development of Air City Lofts, which is the development of Woodhaven parcel to make a smart city.
Woodhaven used to be the housing for Griffis,
housing.
right? Yeah. Oneida County Executive Anthony Picente is our guest. We're talking Oneida County. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Oneida County Executive Anthony Picente Jr. is our guest. We've been talking about a variety of issues, and during the commercial break, sometimes the best information comes out during commercial breaks, but you were telling me about, during the commercial, about the old Woodhaven, and people old like me remember when Woodhaven was quite the housing development for Griffis Air Force Base.
It was the military housing. It was where all the members of the military that served at Griffis, were allowed to live and had housing. It was another part of the city, but a city within.
It was
within
nice
Griffis.
in there.
It was very nice.
And of course, once the Air Force went away, those houses are now just dilapidated, falling down.
It was one of those areas in which the delay and the closure of the base and the turnover to the local governments and the Air Force, it took time, and in such those houses deteriorated, as you said, and now we're looking at a total redevelopment along with the city of Rome and Bonaccio, the construction who built Air City Lofts is going to be the developer on Woodhaven.
And you were saying they've got some innovative plans.
Well, we've been working with them and with the city of Rome, with the mayor and Mayor Izzo, and our partnership there in putting together a smart city. And a smart city is just that. It's really an internet-based city in which, and we're looking at Woodhaven as the model for that, in which street lights, sensors, the broadband is really a communication system of internet access that will direct you in different ways, but will turn lights on when they need to, and is similar to what you can have in your home with different systems, and communication systems that allow for drone delivery. Obviously, it fits in with what we're doing just up the road at Griffis at the airport side. So it really is a city within a city of different types of communication, autonomous vehicles, different things that can be done that are not so far away in the future as everybody thinks.
what kind of a time frame are we talking about to
We're,
start this?
that's going to be starting, in the fall, and really, going to expand. I mean, obviously, it's going to take some while to build some houses in the system, but over the next couple of years, you'll see that open up.
So the first step, I would say, is you're going to have to get some bulldozers in there and get rid of those homes,
You have to get rid of those homes and do some, do some fiber systems and, lighting and such. So it's a major undertaking.
Yeah. So when you say November, we're talking about getting in there for demolition.
Yeah, getting in there in the next, in the next several months for, for cleanup and site preparation and construction probably sometime in 2022.
Yeah.
And then,
I didn't mean to devote the entire show to Griffis, but I guess
That's
that's
okay.
where we're going.
That's okay. We've got a lot going on there.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. What's and we didn't mention EADS is still up there.
EADS
That's
is
Air
still
Force. We've got DFAS. We've got what I still call the Rome Lab. But
Right.
so you got a lot of military still up
We
there.
do. And, it fits in all of these things, and so I can shift over to Cree up
Yes.
in Marcy.
Yeah.
And especially as we look at, the smart city infrastructure and the different things we're doing with drones and electric vehicles, that's what Cree is known for in terms, Cree Wolfspeed, in terms of their work with electric vehicle chips, which is becoming, again, more and more the norm, and will be in years to come on our vehicles in terms of the reduction of combustible engines and fossil fuels in terms of vehicles. Volkswagen announced that as of, I think, 2025, that's when their last combustible engine is coming off the line. They are going to go strictly to electric vehicles. So we've got Cree over in Marcy that's developing the infrastructure, the chips relative to these vehicles. We've got different aspects at Griffis and between the other companies that are there and what we're developing on the drone side. So the synergy between all of these pieces is tremendous and really allows for the kind of growth that we've been waiting for. It's just all of this got a little bit sidetracked, during COVID, but it is the bright spot of what we had to look at because Cree kept building, Air City Lofts kept building, Innovari kept building, the UAS systems kept building, the hospital kept building in Utica, and all of these pieces are a part of our future.
I've asked you this so many times before, you probably get sick of me asking it, but when you talk about such success as going on up at Griffis, I just wonder if it might be possible one day to get scheduled airline service in there.
Well, if you again, the synergy as I talk about with all of these other connections, would be something that as the population grows and with places like Air City Lofts and the development at Woodhaven and the other housing development that we've seen in places like Deerfield and Kirkland and throughout, the population is a key piece to that, and then industry is a key piece to that. So if those things come to fruition and which we know they will and grow the way we believe they will, it's possible that, in years to come, Griffis could be, back in the commercial business. But, right now, we're doing okay with what we've got, and we've got a lot of great initiatives ongoing and industries that are pretty prosperous for our local talent and our citizens.
What else is going? You got those beautiful big hangars up there on Hangar Road. What else is going into those hangars? What are we using those hangars
Well,
for?
a lot of, people don't realize how much general aviation we have in Oneida County and the amount of planes that are owned by local businesses, local entrepreneurs, just local people who want to fly.
Yeah.
And you're well familiar with that. Probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 45 to 50 various airplanes up there in various hangars, whether they're T hangars, smaller airplanes, or some large corporate jets that sit in our hangars, places like Northern Safety and Indium that have those type of planes. So the general aviation is strong and even sustained itself through COVID and certainly with the Air Force Research Lab, with the ads, we still see military presence of whether it's on the C-130s that are being serviced now in Building 101 by a group called Strategic Global Aviation. Black Hawk helicopters that come in periodically. So still have that strong military presence, but also have the great general aviation piece.
In fact, a friend of mine came up from Florida the other day, and they landed at Griffis, and it was so nice for them to be able to come in the room. And it was so nice to have you come in here. Thank you.
It's great. We got a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, there is a lot to catch up on. So come back sooner rather than later, if you would, please.
Absolutely.
That's going to do it for us this week, but we'll be back next week. We'll do it all again. Don't forget CNYhomepage.com. There's lots of good stuff there. Until next time, take care of yourself, everybody.